Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special edition of Hello Hall of Fame. We're going to be taking a look at the 2017 Hockey Hall of Fame inductees announced just today. Today is June 26, 2017, as I am going ahead and recording this right now. I think it's a phenomenal class, by the way. I think the people over at the Hockey Hall of Fame over in Toronto did a fine job. Today I'm not going to ridicule anybody who didn't get in. I save that for other days. Today is all about congratulating the people who are getting in. I love this class. We're just going to take a quick look at each one of the inductees, and then you can add your comments down below, give your thoughts on them. I'm going to give my 2 cents. I've really only been, following hockey pretty well since 1993. I live down here in Tampa. Gotta be a Lightning fan down here, and so hence I'm really happy with this class, mostly because 2 of the members did play for the Lightning, but we're going to get to them in a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get started right away. Let's start off with the builder category, because everybody likes to talk about people who have a lot of money. No, but honestly now, Jeremy Jacobs is the owner of the Boston Bruins. He has been since 1975. He has been representative on the NHL's Board of Governors and has been the chairman of the Board of Governors since 2007. Of course, they won the Stanley Cup in 2011, but the mere fact that a successful businessman owns a NHL franchise doesn't mean very much. I mean, a professional sports franchises, these people have lots of money. But remember one thing, it takes more than just having a lot of money in order to run a franchise. I'm just going to use this, and I'm not making any kind of political statement, but just remember, Donald Trump, who's an incredibly successful businessman, owned the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, and it went belly up. Not just because of him, the league itself went belly up, but it's not easy. It seems like it's an easy transition from being a successful businessman to being a successful owner in a sports franchise. But this is a man who has owned a professional hockey team, okay, which will never be the top team, regardless. Okay, hockey's never going to be #1 in the United States. It's always going to be baseball. It's always going to be football, basketball, before you ever get to hockey. As much as we may not like that, the fact is that's the way it is. But this man has owned a professional hockey team in an American city for 41 years. That is amazing. Like him or not, whether you appreciate the fact that this man has gone out and has been a tremendous owner for this franchise and has really redefined it from the days of Bobby Orr to what it is now. There were some bad years in there for a long time, and then of course you got to remember, he kept hockey very relevant, and really with the building of the TD Garden, which he is one of the managing owners of, that really has really helped out the Boston community and Boston area. So congratulations, Mr. Jacobs. You can put it on your very, very expensive shelf. Thank you for your contributions, and let's move on. There's a saying that goes around, if you can't play, coach. Well, somebody forgot to tell Claire Drake that. Don't get me wrong, the reason he is in the Hall of Fame now is because of his coaching, because he's one of the most phenomenal coaches in the history of the game, and has just every major head coach from the 80s on, guys like Ken Hitchcock, all along that line, they can thank a man like Claire Drake for showing them how to be a head coach at any level in college hockey or professional hockey. The man did play for the University of Alberta back in 1953, and he was the co-scoring leader, leading them to a Western Championship. But really, the reason he is here is what he did at the University of Alberta. The man's a legend in that section of Canada. I couldn't say enough good things about him and about what he has meant for the game. Just look at his numbers and everything. Go to the website. Just look at the things he has accomplished. I could spend all day just talking about Claire Drake and why he is in, and just a tremendous, the things he did on the international stage, coaching the Canadian men's, and he also was an assistant for the women's teams, which we will be getting into next. But wow, just an incredible player, not just player, but incredible coach. The things, he's forgotten more about hockey than we'll ever know. So, congratulations, Mr. Drake. I didn't actually get in to start watching hockey until 1993, because that's when I got an NHL team. And maybe that's lucky for me, because I was able to witness the rise of women's hockey. In fact, the first NHL women's player did play for the Lightning. That was Mayoon Rheaume. But in 1998, women's hockey was first admitted to the Olympics. And I watched that tournament, and I was amazed by the Canadian women's team. They were phenomenal. They were amazing. They were just so much better than everybody else. And really the queen of that team was a little gal, although I wouldn't call her a little gal because she'd probably kick my ass, named Danielle Goyette. She was a scoring machine. Just absolutely. She had been in the World Championships for years before that. And her numbers in international play are just phenomenal. 113 goals, 105 assists in 171 games. I mean, when she left the game, she's just phenomenal. Just a phenomenal player. And really, it was really an honor to be able to sit and watch her, because you knew you were watching something special. And she absolutely belongs here. If you have a feeling you want to clean some gold, go to her house, because she's got 8 gold medals. Just a great player, a great representative of the country of Canada, a national treasure. And she belongs in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Danielle. And hey, let's move on to some NHL players, huh? Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you here. I never thought that Mark Recchi would ever get into the Hall of Fame. Not because he wasn't a great player, because he was. He was a phenomenal player. I just never thought he was going to retire. So, because you got to retire to get into the Hall of Fame. And I just never thought he would. He played forever. He played forever. And, he played for everybody, seemingly. He played for Pittsburgh, he played for Montreal, he played for Philadelphia, Carolina, Atlanta, the Lightning, the Bruins. Actually, I got a funny little story I'm going to tell you real quick here about his time with the Lightning. We had all seen him when he was playing with the Flyers. The Lightning and the Flyers had some great series, and he was always just like the most phenomenal big man. He was an old school type player, the kind of guy that would stand in front of the net, and he would just muscle defensemen off of him. He wasn't a small, fast player. No, he was a big, strong guy who was going to stand in there and knock things around. Anyway, there was a time there when we brought him in, and it was during a time we like to call here in Tampa the Barry Melrose era. And basically, it's 2 weeks we'd like to forget. There's the 2 weeks that Barry Melrose was the head coach down here, and the players really, really couldn't stand Barry Melrose. And anyway, besides that, he was gone after 2 weeks anyway. The point was that we had Mark Recchi we had him for about 62 games. We traded him off to Boston so he could win his Stanley Cup. That was important to him. Another Stanley Cup, I should say, because he won a ton of them. Oh, 3 of them I think he's got. But the bottom line was that he was a really great player. All right, he was a fan favorite because he was a fun guy. He was good for an audio quip. He was always there to protect your other players. They'd always have him out there when Le Cavalier was out there because he could just muscle anybody who would try to get in his way. The guy played in 1,652 games, had 577 goals and 956 assists. Now, that's not including his playoff numbers, where he had 61 goals, 86 assists. I mean, the guy was just, like I said, I never thought he would retire. I honestly didn't. I thought he was going to play forever. Just forever. Outlive me and just play forever. And he could still outlive me. He could kick my ass right now. But hey, congratulations, Mark Recchi. Just a great player all around and very deserving of his place in the Hall of Fame. Alright, moving right along to one of the 2 small players who scored a lot of points and made living in California really cool, and everybody wanted to have Peking Duck after seeing these guys play. But we're going to start with the Finnish Flash. We're going to start with Teemu Selanne. What an amazing... Finland has brought us a lot of great players. This guy was, the Finnish Flash was the great name for him. The guy was a speedster, could get up and down the ice, amazing speed playing for Winnipeg. He made a huge impact in Anaheim and really became the face of that franchise, I think, of anybody who was in the Hall of Fame with the Anaheim Ducks. This is the guy that was the face of the franchise. If there was a Mount Rushmore of Anaheim hockey, his face would be right there on it. He also, he did play over in San Jose and Colorado for a year, but he played for one of my favorite teams in a league outside the United States. He played for Jokerit Helsinki, who has the most awesome freaking jerseys I've ever seen. I think they're playing in the KHL now, and they've got the most amazing uniforms. But aside from that, this kid could really fly. He could fly around the ice, and goalies just hated him because he had such great stick work. But him, along with the next person that we're going to be covering, made that playing hockey in Anaheim with a Disney logo on your chest really, really cool. Very, very worthy. I'm so glad to see both him and his teammate going in at the same time. So, great big congratulations to Teemu Selanne. I remember when he was playing for Winnipeg, and I thought he was pretty damn good. I didn't know why they let him go over to Anaheim. They went ahead and traded him there. So, hey, congratulations. You earned this, and I know he had a lot of injuries down the line, but when you're a small player like that, you're going to have injuries like that. Feel free to share your Teemu Selanne tales, because I know there's tons of them. So, moving right along. Next up, we have Paul Kariya, the second half of that deadly duo over in Anaheim, along with Teemu Selanne. Really an original. The thing about him is that he was an original Duck. He was drafted by the Ducks, and he had kind of a shortened career because of concussions. But another small guy who's going to have those kind of injuries. But he ended up having just as many points as he scored as games as he played. Not including the playoffs, obviously. But 989 games and 989 points. 402 goals, 587 assists. Another just speedster. Great player. Played over there with Anaheim. Moved on to Colorado, Nashville. Ended up with the Blues for a while. But if there's any reason for him to be in the Hall of Fame, aside that he was really a great player, it's that he actually wore those disgusting Wild Wing uniforms, and he actually looked good in his. but those were horrible, horrible uniforms they had out there, and he made it look good. If you can pull that off, all the power to you, brother, and all the power to you, Paul Kariya. Really one of the stalwarts of the league in the late 90s, early 2000s, a guy that, you know, when you pay your money to see a guy like Paul Kariya play, and just a great player, and in my opinion, incredibly worthy of the Hall of Fame. Congratulations and welcome. Hello, Hall of Fame, Paul Kariya. And last but not least, we have to move on to Dave Andreychuk. Now, I'm not one to toot my own horn here, but back in, say, June 5th of 2015, I made a little video called Hello, Hall of Fame, Dave Andreychuk. And basically, I gave all the reasons why Dave Andreychuk should be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, I'm sure none of the people who vote on this watch that video, but I'm still going to take a little bit of credit for this, just because, you know, hey, I called this one. Guy belongs in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, point is, Dave, an amazing player, okay? Had a tremendous junior and minor league career, just with Oshawa, but then ended up playing for Buffalo, and for Toronto, and for New Jersey, Boston. He had a cup of coffee in Boston, a cup of coffee in Colorado, then came over to the Lightning, finally won a Stanley Cup, played 1,639 games. Another guy like Recchi, who I never thought was going to retire. I mean, he was one of those old school type players, while Kariya and Teemu Selanne are that new breed of guys who fly around the ice and go ahead and score a lot of goals. Guys like Recchi and Andreychuk are those guys that stand in front of the net, muscle their way through, score some ugly goals. But I mean, for a long time, he was the power play goal leader of all time. He had 287 power play goals, and you know how he did it? He stood right in front. He muscled the goalie out of the way. Just a phenomenal leader. He really was a great leader. When he was here in Tampa, again, another personal story here. And by the way, to this day, he still has a job with the organization. He's kind of in charge of fans and stuff like that. He is always around. You'll always see him at events for the Lightning. Really a great community guy. And I can only imagine that, you know, when he was in Buffalo, they must have loved him up there. They really must have, because that's a community that just loves its players. And so is Toronto, and so is New Jersey, and of course Boston. But I always think of, you know, like fan appreciation. I think of Buffalo, you know, not just with the Sabres, but with the Bills and everything. Just a real kind of family kind of feel to it. I know he has that here in Tampa, and really a phenomenal player. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of everything he's accomplished, and just congratulations, man. Congratulations. I wish I had more stories about Dave Andreychuk. Just remember when they won the Stanley Cup, and he won it sitting in the penalty box because he knocked the crap out of somebody from Calgary. Anyway, congratulations. Hello, Hall of Fame. I'll stop bitching and moaning. Those people don't need to get any more emails from me about getting Dave Andreychuk into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And those are the 7 newest inductees to the Hockey Hall of Fame up in Toronto, and that really covers the whole spectrum, from owners to coaches to international players to speedsters to guys who just were stalwarts standing in front of the goalie to knock the hell out of the defensive players and score goals. I think it's a great mix of players. You've got all your different types of flavors right there. And I really got to update my passport and get up to Toronto and see the Hall of Fame. I really do. I love this class. I really do. I think it represents all the good things about hockey. Now, of course, now people are going to be saying, oh, there's no goalies. I mean, obviously, there was a certain goalie that played up in Toronto for a long time, and he was eligible this year and didn't get in. Maybe there'll be a Hall of Fame for him coming up. Something to think about. Anyway, like I said, this is not a time to second-guess all those voters, because I think this is a great class. Feel free to share your stories about it. This is the final off-season episode. You're going to see season episodes of all my shows starting up in July. If you want to check those out, feel free. If you want to subscribe or watch, hey, do whatever you feel. I've just enjoyed sharing my stories with you and sharing my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours. So thank you for the view, and hey, hello, Hall of Fame.